Major General Alexei Tolopilo, was recently promoted. He became the deputy commander of the 11th Air Force and Air Defense Army. It was he who, in December of last year, gave the order to shoot down the Azal airliner that was flying to Grozny. At that time, the Russian side did not admit its guilt and in fact promoted the general who killed nearly 40 passengers on that flight.
We were told, well, the plane was shot down, so what do you want from us? Azerbaijan could not accept such an attitude. We know that they are fully aware who did it and why it was done.
In turn, Baku is preparing a package of documents to file a lawsuit against Russia in international court. This was stated by the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, at a recent media forum in Shusha. At this forum, he also accepted as a gift the insignia of Ukrainian armed forces units from a Ukrainian journalist and unequivocally expressed his support for Ukraine.
My answer will not differ from what I said back then, and I think it resonates with the aspirations of the Ukrainian people to never agree to occupation. That is the main advice. That is what we did.
Tensions between Putin and Aliyev are rising. Recently, former Wagner PMC mercenaries were arrested in Azerbaijan. Both had been serving sentences in Russian correctional colonies before being recruited by Wagner. The two Azerbaijanis are accused of using firearms and explosives in Ukraine.
The government arrested Wagner PMC fighters who fought on Russia's side in Ukraine, making them the most direct target for the Kremlin's most dangerous organization. This is a bold move that not only rejects Russian influence in the South Caucasus, but also actively begins to dismantle Moscow's entire post-Soviet power system. This is the first time a post-Soviet country has held its citizens accountable for joining the Wagner PMC.
The Kremlin is already openly issuing threats toward Azerbaijan over their actions. Senator Karasin, who was formerly Lavrov's deputy, is hinting at the hand of the damned West.
The West continues to systematically surround Russia along the perimeter of our borders with the hostility of neighboring states' former brotherly Soviet republics. Long-term seeds planted decades ago are now bearing fruit. New twists are unfolding among our Caucasian neighbors, Azerbaijan and Armenia. It is quite obvious where the planning for such developments is coming from. We will not offend anyone, but those in the centers coordinating actions hostile to Russia must understand that this is a dangerous game, a game with fire, and with consequences that are difficult to predict not only for the region, but now for the global community as a whole.
This is a video from one of the Z channels, where Kremlin bloggers complain that during a lesson in the Russian city of Derbent, children are singing in Azerbaijani. And even though Russia is officially a multinational country, singing songs about being Azerbaijani is unacceptable. Someone must be held responsible for this.
What kind of school curriculum is this, where children living in Russia declare, "Our homeland is Azerbaijan"? Are we in Russia raising agents of a neighboring state? We demand the immediate removal of portraits of the Aliyevs, to identify and punish those responsible, and to strictly review all such educational activities in the schools of Derbent.
In Baku, they are prepared for an escalation of the conflict and are not afraid of threats from the Kremlin. Moreover, they are ready to respond sharply to any provocations.
Today, Azerbaijan's military machine is so strong that we could utterly destroy everything Russia has in the North Caucasus. I don't want to boast about this, but that's a reality. Azerbaijan Baku has such a powerful air defense system. It includes Israeli, Turkish, and the latest Russian S-300 modifications. We will protect our capital. So what are they threatening us with? Well, there is, let's say, the fleet, the Caspian flotilla. Well, maybe they could fire some caliber missiles towards Azerbaijan, but after that, this flotilla in the Caspian will cease to exist.
Recently, the Minister of Defense of Azerbaijan met with the Minister of Defense of Turkey in Istanbul. As a result of the meeting, the two countries signed an agreement to strengthen mutual military security. Azerbaijan has also signed a contract with Baykar for the purchase of weapons and logistical support. Aliyev is constantly irritating the Kremlin, and Russia can't do anything about it.
The Kremlin is striking blow after blow. The conflict between Moscow and Baku continues. In Yekaterinburg, following the father, the head of the Azerbaijani diaspora of the Urals, his son was also detained. According to sources, the detainee was taken to the investigative committee for questioning. E1 reminds that at the beginning of July, when law enforcement officers detained Mutwalla Shahin Shiklinsky's father, his son reversed his car and hit one of the special forces officers. The reason for the detention, according to E1, was causing harm to a law enforcement officer.
The persecution of Azerbaijanis in Russia has been ongoing for several weeks now. Detentions, interrogations, revocation of citizenship, and deportations have become routine.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
The head of the Azerbaijani diaspora in the Moscow region, Ilshan Ibragimov, has been deported from Russia to Azerbaijan. On the 4th of July, Ibragimov was stripped of his Russian citizenship.
Ilshan, hello, this is the REN television. We'd like to find out why you chose not to comment on your departure from the Russian Federation, even though you will likely do so once you're in Azerbaijan.
I don't want to comment on anything. Let me return in peace.
Some Azerbaijanis, like MMA fighter Javid Zayev, are being punished retroactively. Back in 2024, the athlete insulted a Russian at one of the tournaments.
You Russian pig!
And just recently, a year after the insults, Javid was demonstratively stripped of his citizenship and deported. As it turned out, the Azerbaijani was considered a threat to the national security of the Russian Federation.
The FSB of Russia in the Saratov region established that Javid Razaev had committed actions that negatively affect political and social stability in society. These actions pose a threat to the national security of the Russian Federation.
Russian ultra-patriots and propagandists present these purges as a kind of act of justice. After all, Azerbaijan also detains Russians on suspicion of working for the FSB, and concerts by Russian stars are being cancelled en masse.
Hello, Baku. Yesenin is coming to you again on October 17th.
Baku really is cancelling the culture of the Russian world. In the near future, no Russian performers will be going to any concerts in Azerbaijan.
The organizers of the popular Azerbaijani festival Dreamfest 2025 have removed all Russian artists from the program and replaced them with local performers. In particular, acts like Ruki Weaver, Klava Koka, Egor Krid, Ani Lorak, Alsu, Stas Pieka, and many others were supposed to perform.
However, people in Russia forget that it was the actions of Russian law enforcement that started the conflict when, during mass detentions of people from Azerbaijan in Yekaterinburg, several Azerbaijanis were killed.
The Prosecutor General of the Republic of Azerbaijan has initiated a criminal case regarding the use of torture and the particularly brutal premeditated murder of two people citizens of the Republic of Azerbaijan and individuals of Azerbaijani origin by officers of the law enforcement agencies of the Russian Federation.
The patriots and official Kremlin propagandists have joined together in a single impulse that is all too familiar to Ukraine. Solovyov started threatening Baku with Kiev in just 3 days.
You just raise an eyebrow and Ukraine will understand everything. With all due respect to Azerbaijan, its history and traditions, if Russia so much as raises an eyebrow for a second, after all, we are Azerbaijan's third largest trading partner.
Lesser propagandists, following the example of Putin and Lenin, are casting doubt on the very existence of the Azerbaijani nation.
So I went and looked to see where the history of the great Azerbaijan was, the one supposedly interrupted by the military intervention of the Russian Empire. I didn't find it. There was no Azerbaijan at all. And in fact, I couldn't even find such an ethnicity as Azerbaijan is there, so to speak.
Putin's propagandists are spitefully adding fuel to the fire, realizing that relations between Baku and Moscow, already left hanging in the air after the Azerbaijani plane was shot down over Chechnya, have now been completely destroyed.
In short, the policy of chauvinism and the open construction of Stalinism in Putin's Russia is frankly frightening. Of course, Azerbaijanis do not want to risk their businesses by exposing them to the FSB, to Putin's erratic policies, and to the Russian Federation.
Moscow has been thrown out of the strategically important Caucasus region. With Turkey's support, Baku is establishing relations with Armenia, as well as with Europe and China, bypassing the Kremlin in order to, with Erdogan's backing, become a connecting link between China and the European Union.